Welcome to Daily English Listening Stories. Learn English through stories. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories. Slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey. Welcome to our journey about 9/11, the day that changed the world forever. A global view 24 years later. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we will look back at a day that none of us can ever forget. It was a day that began like any other, with the bright blue September sky over New York. Millions of people started their working day with plans, meetings, and dreams. They did not know that, in just a few short hours, that blue sky would be torn apart, and the world they lived in would change forever. This is not only the story of a terrorist attack, it is a story about the fragility of peace, about extraordinary courage in moments of despair, and about scars that never heal but shaped the 21st century. Let us go back in time to the morning of September 11th, 2001. 1. The events. 102 minutes of horror. It all began quietly. Across the east coast of the United States, 4 commercial airplanes took off, carrying hundreds of passengers with different journeys. But on each flight, there was a group of hijackers, 19 men in total, from the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. They carried knives and homemade bombs. They had a cruel plan. American Airlines Flight 11 took off from Boston and suddenly crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The world was shocked. At first, TV channels reported it might be a terrible accident. A small plane, a pilot out of control. No one could imagine the truth. Inside the tower, from the 93rd to the 99th floor, was hell on earth. Hundreds of people were trapped above the fire with no escape. Just 17 minutes later, confusion turned into undeniable horror. United Airlines Flight 175, also from Boston, circled the sky of New York and then struck the South Tower. That moment, broadcast live to millions of homes around the world, removed all doubts. This was no accident. This was an attack. America was under attack. New York City, a symbol of energy and global financial power, fell into paralysis. Phone lines were overloaded. Evacuation orders were given. Tens of thousands of people ran from skyscrapers, fleeing an invisible enemy. But firefighters, police, and medics, everyday heroes, did the opposite. They rushed into the burning towers, climbing smoke-filled stairways to rescue lives waiting in despair. Many of them never came back. The horror did not stop in New York. In Arlington, Virginia, American Airlines Flight 77, flying from Washington, D.C., crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, the brain of the most powerful military in the world. The attack was like a knife stabbing into the heart of America's security, sending a clear message: nowhere is safe. And then came a story of resistance. The 4th plane, United Airlines Flight 93, took off from New Jersey. It was also hijacked. Its target was believed to be the U.S. Capitol or the White House. But on that plane, through short phone calls to loved ones, passengers learned what had happened in New York and at the Pentagon. They understood this was a one-way flight. They refused to give in. They made a choice. They voted and they acted. Ordinary people, businessmen, students, couples, stood together against the terrorists. "Let's roll." The words of passenger Todd Bamer before they charged became a symbol of American courage. Their fight caused the plane to crash in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, only 20 minutes from Washington, D.C. Everyone on board died, but they saved countless other lives and protected a national symbol. They were the first soldiers in the War on Terror. Back in New York, the unthinkable happened. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower, burning for 56 minutes, collapsed in just 10 seconds. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower, the icon of New York, also fell after 102 minutes of fire. The Manhattan sky turned dark with smoke and dust. In those 102 minutes, nearly 3,000 lives were lost. They came from more than 90 countries of all colors, religions, and professions. Office workers, cleaners, stockbrokers, tourists, and 343 firefighters and 72 police officers who died doing their duty. The number of dead was higher than Pearl Harbor. September 11, 2001 became the deadliest attack on U.S. soil in history. 2. The attackers and their motives. Why America? When the dust began to settle, one big question filled the world. Who did this and why? The blame quickly went to Al-Qaeda, an extremist Islamic group led by Osama bin Laden, a Saudi millionaire. To understand their motive, we need to see the complex politics of the Middle East. Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda hated America for many reasons. They saw U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia, the holy land of Islam, as an insult. They opposed U.S. support for Israel in the conflict with Palestine. They rejected U.S. foreign policies and sanctions against Muslim countries like Iraq. To Al-Qaeda, America was not just a country, it was the symbol of Western culture, which they called corrupt, the far enemy, interfering in the Islamic world. The goal of 9/11 was not only to kill, it was to terrorize the spirit, paralyze the economy, and show that the world superpower could also be hurt. They chose targets carefully. World Trade Center, symbol of U.S. economic power. Pentagon, symbol of U.S. military power. Capitol, the failed target, symbol of U.S. political power. This was a declaration of war, and America, with the world, heard it. 3. America in trauma and change. After 9/11, America was not the same. Fear and pain covered the nation. Posters of missing people appeared everywhere. The air was full of doubt and insecurity. But in the ashes, a strong spirit of unity rose. Long lines of people gave blood. Volunteers came from everywhere to New York. The American flag appeared on every balcony, every car. In policy, the government acted fast. Airports nationwide closed for days. When they reopened, air travel was changed forever. The TSA was created. Security lines, removing shoes, no liquids, body scanners, all became normal. One of the most debated changes was the Patriot Act. It gave the government more power to monitor communications, financial records, and arrest suspects. It started a debate that continues today. How much freedom should we give up for safety? 4. The War on Terror, a new chapter in history. Weeks after the attack, President George Bush declared a global war on terror. He said, "Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists." The first military action was in Afghanistan, October 2001. The goal was to remove the Taliban, who protected Al-Qaeda. The Taliban fell quickly, but the war turned into a long conflict lasting almost 20 years, the longest war in U.S. history. In 2003, the war expanded to Iraq, with claims, later proven false, that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to al-Qaeda. That war divided America and the world. The hunt for Osama bin Laden lasted almost 10 years. Finally, on May 2, 2011, U.S. Navy SEALs killed him in Pakistan. His death gave Americans a sense of justice, but it did not end terrorism. Terrorism changed form, with new groups like ISIS, and continued to threaten the world. 5. Long-term impact. A new world. 24 years have passed since that morning. Children born after 9/11 are now adults. For them, 9/11 is history, not memory. But its legacy is everywhere. Global security thinking has changed completely. Nations share more intelligence. Stronger anti-terror laws exist worldwide. But 9/11 also increased suspicion and prejudice. The crime of a few extremists was blamed on an entire religion. Islamophobia grew in many Western countries. Geopolitically, the war on terror reshaped the Middle East, costing trillions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of lives, soldiers and civilians. It shifted power balances and left instability and military intervention as its legacy. For America, 9/11 was not just a wound, it was a turning point. It changed the relationship between government and citizens, between security and freedom, and between America and the world. 6. Remembrance and hope. We will never forget. Every year on September 11th, America stops to remember. At Ground Zero in New York, at the Pentagon in Virginia, and in the field of Pennsylvania, ceremonies are held. The names of each victim are read aloud for hours. It's a painful but necessary reminder of the price of hatred.
At night, two beams of light shine into the sky from where the towers once stood, the tribute in light. They can be seen from many kilometers away. They stand for loss, but also for spirit and rebirth from ashes. The new One World Trade Center, tall and shining, built beside the ruins, proves resilience. The message is clear: never forget. Not only to remember the dead, but also the lessons learned, the danger of extremism, the importance of understanding and tolerance between cultures, the strength of unity in hard times. 7. Conclusion. 9/11 was not only America's tragedy. It was a wake-up call for all humanity. It showed how connected and how fragile our world is. One act in one corner of the world can send waves across the globe, with consequences lasting decades. Looking back 24 years later, we see a world deeply changed in politics, security, and society. The wounds of 9/11 may have turned into scars, but they are still there, reminding us of that September morning, forever marked by fire and tears. The story of 9/11 reminds us that our choices today shape tomorrow's world. The choice between hate and understanding, between conflict and dialogue, between division and unity. And the hope is, from tragedy, we can learn to build a safer and more peaceful future for everyone. What do you think about the impact of 9/11 on the world we live in today?
If this video helped your English learning, please like, share, and subscribe for more lessons with interesting topics. Thank you, and see you in the next video.